Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel and the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel as well. This is, of course, Pro Wrestling Logic, and this is the August 26th, 1978 edition of All Star Wrestling Review. Loving this era. Obviously, wishing that they had more complete nature to things, but obviously they probably didn't keep everything from this era on videotape. Videotapes were so much more expensive back then than they ended up being anyway. So obviously this is hosted by Vince McMahon, featuring McMahon conducting a ringside interview with Crusher Blackwell and the Grand Wizard. Also the announcement that Chief Jay Strongbow and Tony Gurria would face Stan Stasiak and Butcher Vachon, which ended up not taking place. So that's interesting. Why announce something that doesn't happen? Crusher Blackwell with the Grand Wizard defeating Charlie Brown 606 with a Power Slam. Power Slam, just basically an elevated body slam, not with the Power Slam as a move in general would become years later as we kind of know it today by any stretch of the imagination. But Blackwell, who is here through the early part of 1978 and early 1979. Gut wrench, backdrops, punch kick, basic stuff. Blackwell, very short and hefty fellow who is in orange and black and kind of looks sort of like a pumpkin in time for the turn to fall here. Not quite fall yet, but he kind of looks like a pumpkin here. Back elbow on Brown, and Charlie Brown does not have a good run of it. Grand Wizard is, I believe, the second manager. I'm pretty sure that Classy Freddie Blassie's in with Blackwell at least once before, but again, he manages the big body slam and the win, and obviously Blackwell, who in this particular case, to be fair, does manage more of a power slam type maneuver than his previous ones were. Kind of a fall forward sort of power slam maneuver. Anyway, we go into the next contest, which happens to be the wonder that is Dino Bravo defeating Tony Russo. 428 airplane spin. Bravo going more towards the singles role now that he's out of the tag team or away from the tag team with DiNucci. Couple of arm drags and basic maneuvers. Drop kicks under the chin. Drop kicks is kind of what Bravo's known for at the time. Russo managing to come down with a couple of headlock takeovers and head scissors there. And eventually the airplane spin at about 4.5 minutes gets things done. Crusher Blackwell tries to intimidate a lime green Vince McMahon. Blackwell stumbling over his words a few times in the promo, but basically says he's ready for Backlund, Hayes, Tex Calhoun, and anyone else that's big in the WWF. Obviously, the Grand Wizard, who tries to stir things up and get his man ready. They're kind of talking about Blackwell going for the championships. I think there's a mention of Zbyszko here as well. Basically, Blackwell, at the time, at this point, at least in 1978, one of the top heels in the area, one would assume. We go to the WWF Tag Team Champions, the Yucatan Lumberjacks, with Captain Lou Albano defeating Steve King and Carlos Cruz. 7:56 when Eric pins Cruz with an elbow drop. Yes, an elbow drop was a finisher in 1978. Not exactly a match that you need to go out of your way to see. Certainly something of greater note probably is available, to be honest, in your local indie show. I mean, this is certainly not a match or series of matches with the Yucatan Lumberjacks. Probably the weakest tag team that I think I've fully seen, and Albano wearing a straw hat. Go behinds by the enhancement. Talents enhancement tries to get some degree of advantage. They cut off, do some armbar work, basic stuff. Albano still out there with a straw hat, still trying to get things going in his general direction. Doesn't get where he wants to go, but basically rolls through, rolls around, and sends the man into the buckle. Shoulder first. Albano in the straw hat, probably the best part of the match, and some double teams, punches, and kicks by the tag team champions. Not quite sure where they came from, not quite sure their history. Big elbow drop, leaping style for the victory for this particular man. And then we move to a rarity as a masked individual outside of Mil Mascaras available on this particular program. That, of course, being the Destroyer here. Super Destroyer, as a matter of fact, with the Grand Wizard, defeats Mike Benton with submission overhead backbreaker 520. So I don't know if that means Spiros Arion is moving out of the territory or what that means, but you got to figure something is going on there if two guys are using the same finishing hold at the time. Again, guys protected finishers a lot differently than they do today or have in the last 20 years back here in 1978. So two guys on the same show, even if they're not on the same program or episode, using the same finish would be kind of a weird thing. Super Destroyer, of course, jumping and hitting some knee drops. Referee having some difficulty controlling the Super Destroyer throughout. Super Destroyer brings his man back into the ring, and a couple Irish whips later, and a short knee to the breadbasket. Takes him down with a knee to the midsection and other basic things. Super Destroyer not exactly wanting to get a whole ton of attention around himself. Punch kick style, very basic. One thing I like is that the punches look like guys are kind of setting up for them a little bit more and kind of being more fighter based than today's current product. Anyway, we move to the main event of the program, which ends up being interesting run here. Did not know that it was such a big deal even all the way back here, but stay Haystack, Calhoun, Tony Garea, and Larry Zbyszko, defeating Butcher Vachon, Moose Monroe, and Baron Mikel Cicluna 521 when Monroe submitted to Garea's abdominal stretch. Six-man tag to close the show. Six-man tags do tend to be more of a role in the WWF than they were in the WWF expansion 80s era, I've noticed here, but I did not realize they were as big a deal. Thought that was a regional thing. Anyway, Monroe winds himself up under the control of Tony Garea. Garea, who had just a few months ago talked about wanting to come back and do more singles work than he had been. Right back here in a tag team match here. Heels take over on Garea. Garea takes the majority of the match in terms of punishment. Larry Zbyszko comes in and gets after Vachon and Monroe both. Everybody clears out, and Garea comes back in. Garea and Zbyszko have teamed before, and as mentioned, the abdominal stretch by Tony Garea gets the victory for his team. We'll close with that. We'll come back right after this.